Tomorrow is New Year's Day. Happy New Year. It is a good time of the year to pause, to think, to center ourselves and think about our values, to think about our values of inclusivity and hospitality, our value of universal love, our values of respecting the inherent worth of each person and the interconnected web of life. It is time to think about how our values are expressed in our lives, to think about how these values can be reflected more throughout our personal lives and throughout our society. For me, one way to enact these values is through the spiritual practice of compassion. And compassion has two components: empathy and loving kindness. Empathy. Empathy is when you keep your focus on the other person, to recognize their suffering from their point of view. And sometimes we confuse empathy with sympathy. Sympathy is when you shift your focus to your own experience and memories of your own suffering and feel your pain as similar to the other person's pain. When we do not know a person well, it can be difficult to empathize. It is challenging to try and stay open to the many facets of a person's life that brings them to act in a particular manner. When you can empathize with another person and understand her humanity and her suffering, then you can focus on wanting that person to be free from suffering. And compassion is just that, wanting a person to be free from suffering. Loving kindness is the second component. It is a form of love characterized by acts of kindness. Loving kindness is more general than compassion, as it can be directed openly anywhere. It is a foundation upon which to build your practice of compassion, something to fill you up and steady you in the hard act of compassion. It is a general feeling instead of an emotion focused on a specific person. What is needed for loving kindness is intention. Loving kindness is about forming your thoughts in a manner that generate goodwill and positive thinking. Think of compassion as a flame. Developing compassion can be as complicated as trying to light a fire outside in a storm. You need to protect the match from that little flame from being blown out. And when it has grown enough to burn twigs and leaves, you still need to protect the flame until the fire can support itself. Empathy and loving kindness are the fuel, the match, the twigs, the leaves, and the flame is compassion. Small at first on the match, it grows to be a self-sustaining fire. And this self-sustaining fire is rewarding, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. The present Dalai Lama says, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. This is one of the main benefits of practicing compassion, personal happiness. Over the past decade, the Dalai Lama and several Tibetan monks have been participating in several MRI brainwave studies with Richard Davidson, a neuroscience professor at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. The brainwaves of the monks indicate that they have attained an intensely compassionate state of mind. As one monk says, his meditation generates a state in which love and compassion permeate the whole mind with no other consideration, reasoning, or discursive thoughts. This state of mind has been generated through the monks' active compassion meditation. The theory is that maybe compassion can be exercised like a muscle, and with the right training, people can build a self-sustaining fire of compassion. And if meditation can enhance the brain's abilities to produce emotions, then meditation might also be able to be used to modify emotional responses, like sadness. I find this important because each of us has a bad day. Right now, some of us are having a stretch of bad days. And while we may not be able to change our current circumstances, we do have the ability to determine how we will respond. Practicing compassion for others and for ourselves can help us get through the day, day by day. The guided meditation on cultivating loving kindness we experienced earlier in the service is one way to put more compassion into your life and into the world. In that meditation, we cultivated loving kindness first for our loved ones, and then for our acquaintances, and then for ourselves, and that's where we ended the meditation. But this meditation actually goes on and has one more piece. And that piece is that you center yourself again, and this time you call to mind someone that you do not like, maybe even you actively dislike, and you focus your loving kindness on that person. And that piece of finding compassion for those we disagree with is vital to creating the vision of the world we want within our personal lives and within our society. I am really good at the first two pieces of this meditation. I can easily think about someone I love, my wife, my cousin, and send them compassion. I can think about the receptionist at my dentist's office and the cashier at my grocery store, people I don't really know but I really enjoy, and I can send them compassion. Think about the compassion that you already admit into this world. The act of giving a smile or a kind word or of listening to someone, those are acts of compassion. The last two steps of the meditation, compassion for ourselves and compassion for those we do not like, those take time and thought. Those take patience and practice. In addition to meditating, another form of practicing compassion for yourself is often called self-care. We each have something different that soothes us, regenerates us, makes us feel grounded and nurtured. Think about the last time you indulged in something you love. Think of the last time you affirmed yourself by telling yourself something as, "You are an authentic, unique person, blessed to be alive. And your existence is precious." Another form of self-directed compassion is giving yourself permission to let go. Let go of what others expect of you or your own unrealistic expectations. Honor what is hard in your life right now. Your feelings, your limitations, your circumstances. And then let go. Be kind to yourself. You do not need to come last. There is enough compassion to go around. There is enough compassion to go around. For those we love, for those we like, for ourselves, and for those we don't like. One reason I think compassion for ourselves is important is because until you are able to practice compassion for yourself, it is harder to have compassion for those we dislike. And while some of us may never want to have compassion for those folks, I think it is healthier if we can. I am currently having trouble finding compassion for those who are making the lives of refugees and undocumented immigrants difficult. I spent a year volunteering at Refugee One. Every Friday, I assisted refugee clients, It is easy for me to think about them and feel compassion for them, to show compassion to them. But how do I generate compassion for people who are mistreating them? People who do not appear to have compassion within themselves? How do we have compassion for those individuals who mistreat us, who we do not like, who we do not trust? The Dalai Lama spoke in Millennium Park in 2007, and my wife and I attended. I have several visceral memories from that day, but the only story that I remember him telling was about a Tibetan monk who had spent more than 18 years in a Chinese prison labor camp. The monk told the Dalai Lama that on a few occasions he faced real danger. The Dalai Lama asked what danger, what kind of danger, thinking the monk would tell of Chinese torture and prison. The monk replied, "Many times I was in danger of losing compassion for the Chinese." It is a hard thing to do, to have compassion for our enemies. I believe one reason the Dalai Lama told this story is to show that even spiritually elevated monks have a hard time with this, that the ability to have compassion for those we do not like is a universal human issue. The final step in the meditation has as its goal letting the heart and mind become peaceful and full of empathy and loving kindness so that we can focus those qualities on someone we don't like, and that is a tall order. So I have two practical ideas about ways to try and generate this type of compassion. The first is trying to think about the commonalities that you have with that person. We are all human beings who need water, food, shelter, and love. The second is trying to wish that person freedom from sorrow or stress, to wish that person a happier, healthier, and more successful present and future. And if you end up thinking about your differences or thinking judgmental thoughts or ill wishes, come back to your general feeling or thought of loving kindness. Know that you have not failed. Imagine those negative feelings being absorbed and diffused by your heart, and this will help you transform them rather than repress these feelings. Use these thoughts as insights into how your mind works and what your future actions might be. If you are in this place, it may be time to pull out a fire starter, such as taking time to reflect on how positively it would affect you if another human being desired your end to suffering and acted on it. Or maybe what you need is a piece of dry wood to add to your fire, such as tapping into the feelings that you generate towards those you love and staying with those feelings for a few moments. Do not be discouraged. Let your values inspire you and support you. Our lives have ups and downs. Our country has ups and downs. And as we move into this new year, let's be mindful that how we care for ourselves, for our neighbors, and for those we disagree with will shape our lives. Take time as we enter this new year to pause, to center yourself, and to feel the warm glow of self-sustaining fire of compassion that burns in you.